Hi, everyone. We are the Travel Squad podcast. Today, we are going to share with you the future trips that we're currently planning as the USA slowly starts to reopen from COVID-19 restrictions and we can travel a little bit more freely. I'm Brittany.
I'm Zaina.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Jamal. And we have our weekly regular podcast, the Travel Squad podcast. But because of COVID restrictions and less people traveling, we haven't been really putting out too many of our traditional podcasts, but we have been giving you guys these quarantine YouTube specials here for you guys' enjoyment. And so we've been doing those because there hasn't been really a lot of travel. So this is a perfect episode as we gear up talking about our travel plans as the US is starting to slowly reopen.
We typically travel a lot as a travel squad and individually or with other people or as a couple. We take, weekend trips at least once a month and international trips a couple of times a year, or at least we used to before COVID. COVID has changed a lot of that. And so we want to tell you all about how we're adapting.
Yes, because if there's one thing that we do well besides travel, it's roll with the punches. So we're very good at adapting and just making it up as we go. So let's get into it.
So due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we had a few trips canceled. How many trips did we have canceled? Like 7 amongst the four?
I love how you describe that as a few, Brittany, as 7. That's just to give you guys a little bit of flavor of, how many trips we have planned. Now, granted, all of us weren't necessarily going on all of those trips, but like Zaina was saying, a lot of it is adaptation as well. And for all our listeners that have listened to our podcast and even some of these YouTube specials, I'm sure you've heard that Brittany and I were supposed to go in March to Hong Kong and finally finish for us a bucket list item, which is going to all the Disney parks in the world. So we had that booked. We were super stoked. And then obviously Corona hit and there were flight restrictions in and out of China. And on top of that, Hong Kong Disneyland closed. So fortunately enough, our airline at that point, before it really became prevalent here in the United States, allowed us to make changes for free. So Brittany and I were like, well, let's just go to Hawaii. There's not really any cases there. And again, it's still before it came to the States. And we'd love to go to the national parks. We're like, we'll go to Hawaii volcano. So that's part of the adapting. At that point, we weren't letting it cancel our trip since there weren't any lockdown procedures yet. So we improvised in that sense as well.
And the day that I was just going to say, Zaina, that the day that we left and we're boarding our plane, we hear on the news that things are starting to shut down and there's going to be just the isolation precautions and the social distancing starting to happen. And so we barely made it back from Hawaii before COVID restrictions were placed. And had we gone a week or 2 later, we would have had to self-quarantine for 14 days upon arrival on our trip in Hawaii, which we were there for less than 14 days. So we would have had to stay in our hotel the whole time and then fly back.
No point.
Yeah. What I was going to say was I remember when we were in the London airport getting ready to fly back home, and this is at the end of January. And we were asking, Jamal and Brittany, oh my gosh, are you guys still going to go to Hong Kong? Because at this point it hadn't hit the States, it hadn't hit Europe or Italy yet, but it was getting progressively worse. And Jamal and Brittany were like, we're not sure. And it's like, you're not sure. And then a few days later, they were sure.
Well, I mean, we couldn't go. They closed the parks. But, it was mostly in mainland China, as we know at first. And then progressively, slowly, it got into Hong Kong. So at that time that we were coming back from our Lebanon and Dubai trip and we're in the airport in London having that conversation, it still wasn't there quite yet. But Kim, you had a trip that you were going on individually, not as the squad, that got canceled too, right?
Yeah. While you guys were having fun in Hawaii, I was gearing up to go on a spring break trip to Cancun with a bunch of my friends. We were going to spend some time in Tulum, some time in Cancun, some time drinking margaritas on the beach, and it was going to be amazing. But I think you guys came back the week before I was going to leave, and that's the week that everything locked down and there were travel restrictions and flights were canceled. And so if I had my trip planned maybe 1 or 2 weeks before, because Mexico hadn't been hit yet, I would have been able to go, but I didn't. I got the flight credit for it, so it saved the money at least. But yeah, major bummer not to have spring break in Cancun.
I remember when you bought those tickets. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I remember when you, when we were asking you, like, hey, are you still going to go? And you're like, if the borders are open, definitely going.
And they closed. And that's the only reason we didn't go. Yeah.
So Jamal and I were also supposed to go to Yosemite. And how many times, Jamal, have we booked a trip to Yosemite and has it gotten canceled?
I would say maybe about 3 times. One time during COVID, obviously, but a couple other times Brittany and I had plans of like, oh, we're going to go to Yosemite. But just things happened and plans changed and weren't able to go. So we're like, all right, this time here, we're really going to go. It was supposed to be in April, right, Brittany? I think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we were supposed to go in April, so that's like at the heart of lockdown everywhere. And we weren't able to go because they, at that point, had closed the national parks. So even though, I mean, I guess people are still flying, although not a lot. I mean, we live in California, could have driven up, but the national park itself was closed. So that went kaput and wasn't an option for us either.
Yeah, and also in April, we were supposed to go to Sedona. I had found $45 flights from San Diego to Phoenix. And I was like, what a steal. I cannot pass up on this opportunity. I've never been to Sedona before. And we were supposed to go also like mid-April. So since COVID happened, we were unable to do that and had to cancel that trip as well. We also had a trip planned to Dallas for Easter, specifically to visit my sister and my nephew. But and we were actually really considering going, but I want to say a week before Easter hit, I even got like discounts on the flights because I rebooked them and everything, and they were going to be super cheap. But then Texas put a lockdown on, saying that any travelers arriving by plane outside of Texas would have to quarantine for 2 weeks. And we're like, well, guess we're not going to Dallas for Easter.
And didn't you have a Palm Springs one, Kim, that got messed up too, I think?
I love Palm Springs. It's only about 3 hours from where we live in San Diego. So it's a really fun place to go. It's really retro, and pool parties are really big because the weather's really warm. So I had actually in April, I was supposed to take a girls' weekend trip to Palm Springs and just get a hotel at the Cigarra, which is a super cute, colorful hotel, very hipster, very fun. But obviously that got canceled. Palm Springs put a kind of like a travel ban on. If you want an Airbnb, you had to be an essential worker and get it for 30 days. And the hotels just weren't open. And so we didn't do that. But also I had 2 other Palm Springs trips planned that are canceled. One was in June and one was in August. And both of them were for the Splash House Music Festival, which is this amazing festival pool party at these 3 hotels. So much fun, but because crowds, it attracts thousands of people and you can't have a ton of people swimming in a pool together for a weekend. Those 2 trips are canceled.
I forgot that one of them was supposed to be for Splash House until you said it right now. So
it's too bad you don't have your splash tattoo to bring to Splash House.
I know, she's about to say it was so wild last year that Kim almost got a tattoo at Splash House.
that's a story. That's a story for another time, I think, though, right, Kim? But speaking of which, to the last major trip on us that got canceled, and I know we said at the intro we're going to talk about our trips coming out of COVID here, which we're going to get to. But one trip here that we were going to do in September, and this was going to be a squad trip. We've had this one booked for a while. We were super, super stoked about it. Was another awesome Gate 1 guided adventure, and we were going to go to Ecuador. We were going to be able to step on the equator, across from north to south. We were supposed to be canoeing to our hotel in the Amazon, and it was going to be legit. And we were super excited, but obviously that has gotten canceled because just like the US is spiking right now, Latin America is doing the same. So it's just not safe to go, and we aren't doing that. But going back to what Zaina said too about improvising, we're going to tell you what we have as a backup plan for that. Rest assured, we're taking trips here coming out of quarantine.
And not
Ecuador was supposed to be my birthday. My birthday's still gonna happen, but you know. In Ecuador.
Not only was it Ecuador, but since that flight back from Ecuador into Dallas was getting in on a Friday morning, we were going to extend the trip to spend the weekend in Austin, Texas, which none of us have been to and all really want to go to. But because it's a 2-for-1 there, they're both canceled.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Zaina's birthday, however, is not canceled.
No. In fact, I have taken an oath of sobriety for the remainder of this year until my birthday, just because I felt like, you know, at the beginning of quarantine, 1 glass of wine would really hit me, whereas now takes a few to hit me. So I felt like I should dial back a little bit to get my tolerance down.
Takes a bottle of wine to hit you, Zane?
No, I would say maybe like 2.5, whereas it used to be like half a glass. And so it's not like I'm a booze hound or anything, but like if it's taking that long to hit me, then I'd rather just like wait. So that way when we go on my birthday trip, I only need like a little bit for it to give me the munchies.
So Kim, I know one thing that you've been doing recently is like staycationing, right?
Yeah, so before we get into what we're going to do in the future, lately, you know, I'm all about being resourceful and finding a way to still have fun and and just make the most of whatever you have. So I've been doing staycations where I've done a couple. So in May, I did a Palm Springs staycation. We got this really cool private Airbnb that had all these amazing little seats. It was super hipster, super cute. Just went with a few girlfriends and we stayed. We didn't even leave the house the entire time. We didn't go out at all. Made food, had drinks, all of that. That was really, really fun. We also did a staycation at the Lafayette Hotel and Pool Club here in San Diego. So even though I live in San Diego, it's just so nice to like be in a hotel room with a hotel bed and a pool right outside of your patio where there's other people who are there safely social distancing and still socializing, and just like having that vacation vibe even though you're 10 minutes from your house. So that was really, really fun. And then I just got back also from a staycation in Westlake, which is in the Thousand Oaks area of California. Really, really nice. Just get a nice hotel, go by the pool, sit on the patio, have some champagne. We didn't really leave the hotel much. Now in California, restaurants and bars are open. And actually, it's much, much different in Thousand Oaks area than it is in San Diego in terms of like the requirements with masks and that kind of a thing. So that it was really nice to be away and just have that vacation vibe, even though a typical vacation you may be going out and doing things and going to events and functions, but the hotel was very nice beds.
Westlake, I know, right? Westlake, isn't that where Pilot Pete is from?
Yes, I drove by the Bachelor Mansion. It was amazing.
Oh, really?
So cool.
Why didn't you take a photo and send it to us, Kim?
I have it on Snapchat. I'll send you the video.
You should have done that with a rose emoji.
You were so
you should have chosen 2 of us. No, I'm just kidding.
Us to send it to us, and
I was really feeling love vibes.
Well, speaking of the little staycations, so a lot of things that we have coming up are, you know, traveling within the state, although we are leaving the state. And one thing that we are doing this month here in June is going up a little bit north of LA, and we're going to be going to Santa Barbara. And this was supposed to be a squad trip. We even had this one planned pre-COVID. However, Zaina's in the process of a move. She's moving that weekend, so unfortunately, she's not coming. She's going to be MIA, but rest assured,
we're going to have to throuple.
Yeah, we're throupling this one to Santa Barbara to do some hiking and supporting some local businesses and doing some wine tasting, if you will.
Yes, we'll definitely have a podcast episode on Santa Barbara and the hikes and just the vibe in the town.
So throuple, just for anyone, it's a reference from a TV show. I don't know. It's like just the tattoo of us, I think it is. But in any case, I've been wanting to move into the place that I'm moving into for quite some time, and I'm finally moving in, and it's going to be that weekend. So I'm sad that I'm not going to be there with the squad, but I am so excited.
And we really had to push Jamal to hike on this trip. Kim and I are like, let's go to Santa Barbara. Let's go to the wineries and hike. Jamal's like, I don't want to hike. So we're only going to hike one of the days, but it's going to be good.
I'm not wanting to hike Saturday as well. So
you know what? This is a reoccurring theme, and I don't know if it's just Brittany picking on me because we're married, or if I'm being picked on because I'm the only guy in the squad, but I am completely mischaracterized all the time with this. You know what? I never put up a fight for the hiking, but I'm just saying, if we're going to go to Santa Barbara and it's wine country, like, let's just go do some wine tasting. We've, been in quarantine here. It's just going to be nice to relax and have some wine and be out. And so that's why I was like, this one, maybe not so much, but I wasn't throwing a fit.
He actually even said, if we don't get to go to the wineries, we should just cancel because it's not worth going. And I was like, what?
Yeah, we could hike here in San Diego.
Oh, mister, I love to hike in San Diego.
Well, I don't really want to, but I'm not going to pay for a hotel to go hike now. I'll save it.
Well, if it makes you feel better, we can get a bottle of wine and bring it on the hike.
That's true. And maybe we'll bring like a little picnic basket and some cheeses, and we'll have like a hike picnic.
That's
a whole wine theme.
My favorite thing is like when you guys went to Yellowstone and you were sharing how Jamal didn't want you guys to bring food because if the bears smelt it, he was going to be the one that was going to have to fight the bear.
Yeah, there's now going to be like mountain lions. So I don't know, mountain lions like wine, babe.
Well, they're not as food sensitive as bears are, if you will. But to my credit, there have been a lot of reports of bear attacks within the last month all over the United States. That is a fact, and one just happened recently here in California.
Hey, well, I want to hear about that, but hey, Jamal, I am like defending you here. I'm saying that you are ready to jump in front of a bear.
I'm defending myself against Brittany and Kim here. So.
Where was the bear attack?
It was somewhere like up in the LA area.
A woman was sunbathing in her backyard and a bear attacked her and she had to use her laptop to fight him off.
This is her backyard.
Stop.
No, I'm not even lying.
That's Zana's worst nightmare.
This is like a populated LA area. Granted, she lives like the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. It's the San Gabriel Mountains.
Okay.
But nonetheless, either way, we're getting a little bit off topic, but Santa Barbara is June. And then July, we're going to start really getting busy right here. And it's been a while since I feel like I've had something every weekend to do. And July is that month for us here.
You didn't have something every weekend during the month of April and May?
We probably did pre-COVID, and then it just didn't happen.
It just didn't happen. So in July, Jamal and I are going to Las Vegas for 4th of July weekend, and we're actually using our timeshare. We are using like the exchange program, so we're getting a timeshare. It's good for a whole week, but we're just using it for the weekend. And we were looking at the pictures, and there's like a big hot tub in the bathroom, like jacuzzi tub, and we're going to bring some wine and champagne, and the pool's open, and we're going to go out to eat on the strip on both Friday night and Saturday night and just enjoy Vegas.
Yeah, so we're channeling Kim's inner staycation. So we're in the timeshare. It's going to be a 2-bedroom. We have a kitchen and everything. So we are going to go out to eat like at a couple of our favorite restaurants and properly social distance and still be safe. But we are taking advantage of the fact of doing like the staycation. We have the jacuzzi tub in the room. We don't really have to leave other than the dinners that we want to eat. So I'm going to make breakfast, lunch, and like Kim, just enjoy somebody else's bed as she was in a hotel room. And we're going to be doing the same thing. So we're going to be enjoying 4th of July that way in Las Vegas.
Question for you.
Yes.
I know we were talking about the new buffet style that they have in Vegas. I don't remember what place we said it was at, but are you going to go to it?
Oh, I don't think we are on this trip, but it is at the Wynn. The Wynn's buffet is going to be the first buffet to open on the Strip, but they're not going to allow patrons to hold utensils and serve themselves. The people are going to be like serving you. And I think they said they're only allowing like a 2-hour like table limit, obviously, because they're not going to seat at capacity. And two, you know, if people are serving you and it's buffet, you know, they're not going to let you sit there all day, right? So I think that time frame is something new, but no, we are not trying it on this one. We're going to be eating at a steakhouse and at one of our new favorite restaurants, Scarpetta, which is at the Cosmopolitan.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I want to say 2 weekends after Vegas, Jamal and I are going back up to the Santa Barbara area. We're going a little bit farther north than Santa Barbara, and we're going to a small town called Solvang. Have you guys heard of it?
I've always wanted to go there.
Yeah, it's a cute little Danish town. If you Google search the images, all of it's like Danish style buildings and architecture. And I've gotten recommendations for some Danish bakeries. And someone was telling me how one of the pastries is shaped like the Danish shoes. And inside like where you would put your foot, they have it filled with like strawberries and cream and like a whole bunch of like fruit fillings, and it just sounds really good. So I've gotten a few recommendations on bakeries, and I just want to go just for a quick like day trip, weekend trip, and we're just going to spend one overnight there on like a Saturday night. And I think it'll be so cute.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that, you know, Brittany and I are really doing, and we haven't really done it as a squad yet coming out of quarantine, but we've always said this before, is like explore your own backyard. Like, you know, it's about 4 hours away, which for some people in other states, like 4 hours a long drive, but like that's not even a third of the way of California, right? So it's still in Southern California, it's close to us. So if you guys are still timid to get on that plane, train, or wherever, just get in your car, explore. There's smaller cities where you can still properly social distance, support local businesses, and we're definitely trying to do that, and obviously getting out that pent up repression that we've had of having to be in quarantine. So
Kim, don't you have a staycation coming up in July possibly?
So a lot of the stuff that I've planned for this year are kind of potentials, up in the air, ideas, maybes, kind of playing it by ear. But yeah, we're talking about myself and some of my other friends, not with the squad. We're talking about doing a staycation in Temecula, which is just an hour northeast of San Diego where we live. And it's a little wine country. So just drinking some wine, staying in a nice hotel, relaxing a little bit, having a little escape, not far from home. So
that'll be really nice.
Yeah, hopefully that ends up happening.
Yeah. And I just recently found out today that for the 4th of July here in San Diego, fireworks have been canceled. So another roll with the punches kind of move. Even if you are traveling for the 4th of July, it'll be interesting how cities handle that.
Yeah, my mother and her friend have been planning this girls' trip to San Diego all year. It's been postponed a couple of times. So finally they said, 4th of July, we're coming down to visit you. We're going to do that weekend here with you. And so I was just talking to her, trying to plan what we're going to do, and looked it up. And yes, fireworks are canceled. So we'll see.
That's too bad. She's still coming down?
Yes.
Oh, good. So Jamal's birthday is the last weekend in July, and Jamal loves to hike on his birthday.
I just love it. I can't get enough of it.
So for Jamal's birthday, we are going to Yosemite National Park, and it's the last national park in California that Jamal and I need to go to together. We've been to the rest of the California national parks. In total, I think there's 9 California ones. So this is the last one that we've both been to, but we have not gone together. So we're really excited about that. And the way that the national park system in California is handling COVID is Yosemite is actually making you book a reservation to go. And it's only a $2 fee, but you have to reserve your reservation on like recreation.gov and select the day that you're going. And then you can arrive that day, and then your pass is good for 7 days afterwards. And then also, because of this, a lot of people are canceling their trips for Half Dome. And so we're able to apply for the Half Dome lottery 2 days before we go and find out if we can actually be able to hike Half Dome while we're there for Jamal's birthday weekend or not.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, we're going to make it this time to Yosemite, number one. But two, if you remember, we've put in a lottery before last year as the squad to attempt to hike Half Dome. And Half Dome is like a famous mountaintop side in Yosemite Valley. It's very famous. And so you have to get specific permits for it. And we didn't get that lottery before, and we didn't apply this year. But since a lot of people aren't traveling, like Brittany was saying, like we can get lucky and get those last minute dropout tickets. So we have a plan of what hike we're gonna be doing. But if not, or if we get lucky and actually get Half Dome, we're gonna be doing that instead. So we're looking forward to it nonetheless for multiple.
Well, I don't think you did it justice in how you described it. This is not just a mountaintop hike. It's 14 miles.
It's depending on where you start, it's like 14 to 18 miles.
14 to 18 miles. The last part is a chain, almost vertical climb. Chain cables, vertical climb, like Death Wish kind of a hike.
Yeah. So they actually recommend that you wear like grip gloves on the cables portion to like protect your fingers and your knuckles while you hike. And I bought Jamal some gloves for that, and I have a woman's pair just in case we do end up making that hike.
See, so we're already putting out good vibes, like we're gonna win the lottery tickets for it and get it.
How you do it?
I didn't want to hype it up too much, Kim, because I want to save it for the podcast episode. But I appreciate you letting all of our listeners know how intense it is. But I will say this, from what I've seen of the cable portion, it's not as bad as Angel's Landing at Zion National Park, which I've done, which is like sheer cliffs on the side, still rope cables. So that seems a little bit more harrowing to me, but it's not as long as Half Dome. Half Dome, like you said, depending on where you start, like 14 to 18 miles. So it's a rough one. It's an all-day trip, that's for sure.
Very hot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take lots of water.
We will.
I even bought electrolyte tablets just in case.
So prepared.
But I think that wraps it up for July. I think August, you have some preliminaries planned that aren't official though, Kim, right?
Yes. So I have a couple things I'm thinking. One, I'd love to get back to Chicago. We have a podcast episode out on Chicago from a squad trip that we took last October. Fell in love with the city. It's amazing.
Love the wind.
But it's definite. I could see how it would be so much more fun in summer when it's hot. So I've been talking with some friends about potentially getting a hotel more in a central part of Chicago, because we stayed a little bit of the outskirts, just a bit where you needed to drive in, and just going to rooftop bars and drinking by the river walk and just, I don't know, hitting on hot
Chicago. Yeah, I mean, Chicago, and if you go, Kim, I'm jealous because I mean, we all loved Chicago when we went, and when we left, we talked about all together on the plane, like, when are we going to go back? And with everything that's going on, I don't think it's necessarily going to happen this year, but we all were planning and saying that we want to go during baseball season to catch a game, go see a Cubs game at Wrigley Field. We're from Northern California. Kim and I are more sports fans than Brittany and Zaina. We're big Giants fans. So I want to go during baseball season and watch the Giants whoop some ass at Wrigley, if you want me to be completely honest. So when that happens, we're going back for sure. But Kim looks like she's going to be rooftop barring it all day, every day.
Potentially, yeah, that sounds really fun. And yeah, I actually just heard today that Chicago went into phase 4 of reopening. So it is looking pretty promising. And Brittany was just pointing out some affordable flights. So yeah.
Good flights to Chicago right now.
Looking good.
Piqued my interest.
Always considered moving to Chicago, like probably since 2014. I don't know why. I've just had an itch for Chicago, and I had never been there. But then I saw the polar vortex take place where Chicago got to like -30 during the winter.
Well, I mean, Lake Michigan freezes all the time, man. I'm telling you, it's hot during the summer, and by hot, like real nasty hot and super cold during the winter. You know, we were just, you know, as a squad in Lebanon and Dubai in January before, again, everything really happened. and we met up with a cousin of mine who lives and works in Dubai. And he was telling us, he's like, oh yeah, I mean, I was just in the US like recently, but I was on the East Coast. So, you know, it was unfortunate I couldn't see you guys. And he went to Chicago and he's like, I don't know how people do it. I was here during the winter. And he's like, I don't know how people live like that. And he's like, he was saying it was just like just completely crazy how cold it is during the winter.
The Italian beef that keeps you warm at night.
I guess it is.
I'm gonna go round 2 for Italian beef when I'm there.
God bless Italian beef.
So I think that really wraps up August. I don't think Jamal and I really have anything planned there. Or what about you, Kim? Oh, so, sorry.
We were originally talking about doing this in July, but now it's kind of moved to August and it might still get pushed. But a couple of my friends, actually, if you go back to listen to our how to do a Mexican wedding right, I talk about this couple, Ricky and Patty. So they have some family who own this really cute boutique hotel in Sayulita, Mexico. And they want to like rent out the whole hotel with a bunch of our friends. So we've been kind of having this Instagram group chat going back and forth on if we should do it, how much are flights and who's in. The one thing we were also going to do on this trip is drive to Tequila, Mexico and do tequila tasting because it's pretty cool. But the tequilerias are not open yet. So it's that's why it's still up in the air with a date. But not only would we be doing that, but Sayulita is where sea turtles come every year to hatch their eggs in the sand. And then it's this time of year in the fall when they hatch. And so you can go to the conservatory that they have there and help little baby turtles out to sea for the first time. And I've wanted to do this for years. And so I'm really, really excited. And I hope this trip like works out.
Where the fuck is my invite?
I mean, you guys know.
You have 2 things for Brittany. Tequila, because, you know, Brittany's not too huge of a drinker, but if she goes for hard alcohol, it's tequila. And
tequila or Fireball.
And no, Zana, you're the only one on Fireball. You might as well say Jägermeister next, please.
I could do shots of tequila all day, every day.
And then Brittany loves some sea turtles too, so, you know.
Well, I'll let you guys know when we find out for sure.
But so I think that wraps up August. September gets into Zaina's birthday. Again, we were supposed to be in Ecuador, Zaina, so why don't you give us a little bit of a breakdown before we all jump in about what we're doing as a backup here.
I have no idea. I just know that we're going to the south. I just show up.
Oh, Zaina, that's I wouldn't expect nothing less from you than to just show up. So I'm glad you're admitting it.
Oh, no, I have no idea. All I know is that I've been told that I'm going to have the south in my mouth.
All right. Well, then Brittany planned it. I'll let her take it away. I was trying to give you a segue since it was your birthday, Zaina, but you know what? We'll let Brittany take this one.
No, you know, I'm so sorry. I just wait for you guys to tell me what to bring. I wait for you guys to just kind of tell me what's up, and then
you know what you need? You know what you need to bring? Your cowboy boots and your cowboy hat, because where's the first stop on our trip?
We're going to Nashville.
Honky tonk.
So when we were actually in Grand Tetons and Yellowstone National Park, we had this, like, we decided that we needed a backup plan just in case Ecuador got canceled, because at that point Ecuador was still on. And I love having a backup plan because I do not want to miss out on a vacation. So our backup plan was to do a road trip of the South, and we're going to be flying into Nashville and going to be doing like a little honky tonk in Nashville. Then we're going to drive up to Kentucky, hit a national park. We're going to go to Mammoth Caves National Park in Kentucky. Then we're going to head on over
and do some bourbon tasting, by the way. I want to throw that out there. We're going to do some bourbon. You have to in Kentucky.
And then we're kind of going back down into Tennessee and hitting Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which is also goes into, I want to say, North Carolina. And in North Carolina, we've heard about Asheville, which is a really cute city and has really good hiking. So we definitely want to go there. And then from North Carolina, we're going to drive it down into South Carolina, hit another national park called Congaree National Park, which looks super cool. Like the whole park kind of
it's like a foresty swamp.
Yeah, it's a foresty swamp, and the park at times floods, and so then you can canoe through the park as well. So we're going to hit that national park.
Zaina's hearing about it for the first time.
Zaina, I know, right? You asked, does it have bears, Zaina? I don't know about in Congaree, but Smoky Mountains
Great Smoky Mountain does. Every hike that I've looked at in Great Smoky Mountains, it says, be bear aware, bring your bear spray.
But Zana, you should be fortunate though. There's no grizzlies down there. Grizzlies are more deadly than black bears. Not to say that they can't be dangerous, but they're a little bit more docile than grizzlies. So you shouldn't be too concerned in that regard. But Congaree, one, is going to be awesome. It's like a foresty swamp. So again, like Brittany said, you can canoe or kayak through there when it floods. But a lot of the trails, it's not even really mountainous. A lot of the trails are like built up boardwalk planks to keep you out of the mud, out of the swamp. So it just, I mean, when you envision the South and the like real nature of the South, this is what it looks like as Congaree, or what you would imagine. And I'm super excited for it.
And we're also going to Charleston, and then we're going to make our way to Savannah, Georgia as our last stop and fly out of Georgia. And so altogether, it's 10 days, 5 states, 3 national parks.
What?
And my birthday will be in Kentucky.
Getting lucky in Kentucky.
Yeah, but day before your birthday, and you're going to celebrate your last day of 34, because once you hit 35, I don't know if your body could handle it. And that's why Zane has done her oath of sobriety, is to get real wild honky-tonk style in Nashville.
I would just like to say that my birthday is at the perfect place in the year here in September, because when I was 20, I went to Lebanon. When I was 21, I went to Montreal. When I was 22, I did something. Oh, I was in Spain and Portugal by the evening. When I was 23, I went to Cyprus. When I was 24, I went to Lebanon. When I was 25, I moved to San Diego at my birthday. 26, I didn't do anything. 27, I was in Mexico City. 28, 29, I had a boyfriend and I didn't do shit. And when I was...
You know what you did do? You racked up that PTO. That's
yes.
What you did.
Thank you. That's why everyone is so amazed. Like, how do you have so much PTO? It's because I didn't do anything because I was with him. He was dragging me down, but that was my decision, whatever. Anyways, when I was 31, I was in Mexico City again. 32, I didn't go anywhere. 33, I was in Swaziland and then South Africa by the evening. And now for 35, I'm going to be in Kentucky.
Hell yeah.
Look at that.
I know.
All your birthdays are wild, Zana. Look at this.
It is. So I got to sober up to make it real wild for 35.
Is there anything in particular that you're most excited about for that trip now that you're hearing about everything that we're doing?
I'm really excited for North Carolina because my really good friend Darcy lives there. And like, she went to Asheville. She's the one that told me about Asheville. Then I told Brittany about Asheville and she's like, oh, my dad's going to Asheville.
Yeah, Asheville's really famous. It's like one of the more scenic places in North Carolina. Not that I've been, but from what I hear and, research. And Kim, you've got yourself a rooftop bar that Brittany found you out there, by the way.
Woo!
We were thinking about you in the planning process, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a really good planner for trips.
You are. I hand it to you.
She is. And speaking of that, shameless plug, one of the things we are going to be bringing you guys are our itineraries of our trips that you guys can go ahead and purchase. So we have Yellowstone, we have Hawaii. We're working on pretty much itineraries for all of ours, but those are the ones that we have on the docket right now to come out right away. But obviously we want to bring out the America ones first because it looks like a lot of people are going to be traveling domestically for the foreseeable future, or hopefully not too long. Not that there's anything wrong with traveling in America, but nonetheless, check out Brittany's amazing planning skills and ask us about the itineraries for you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've been working hard on those itineraries.
The reason why they're so amazing and why you need it is because Brittany took all the planning that we've done and like the best way to go about it. So it's really like she is being your travel guide. So you don't have to look up where to stay, where to eat, what hikes to do. Like, it gives you everything that we always talk about in terms of starting farthest away and then working your way closer to where you're at.
Yeah. Super excited to be able to release those.
Woo!
Whoa. So I think that's all for September that we have planned, but that's a really big trip. We're going to be gone for 10 days. And then in October, I'm celebrating my birthday. And I didn't have anything planned, before COVID. So I figured I wanted to go back, or I wanted to go to Sedona. I was able to find $45 flights again. So I was like, I can't pass this up a second time around. So Jamal and I are going to Sedona, and I just can't wait to bring in my birthday by like sitting on an energy vortex and just really refreshing my body as I turn 31.
And rejuvenating. You will love it there.
I want to go there. I would just like to throw out that the new place that I'm moving into I'm on the 5th floor, and it's open balcony. So we can convert that into a rooftop bar overlooking San Diego.
I'm excited for it.
Woohoo!
Right. I don't mean to bring your spirits down, but from what I hear, Arizona's getting a little tricky, a little with the corona there. So you have to play that one by ear.
Yeah, it's October. We'll see. I mean, Sedona already got canceled on us. I'm not imagining it will be again, but with anywhere in the United States, cases are rising all around. So I know Arizona's on the forefront of things, but we will see. But October is a ways away. The good news for us is Sedona's not going anywhere. It's a decent enough drive, close enough if we wanted to do it, and an even cheaper and closer flight from San Diego to Phoenix, and then an hour-and-a-half drive. So it's not too bad. It's like we'll get back there one of these days, if not then. So.
Rejection is God's protection.
And Kim, your birthday's in November. Do you have anything planned?
I love to take a birthday trip. I've been to New Orleans. Last year I took a Miami trip and then a 5-day cruise to the Caribbean, which was really, really fun. So this year I was planning on taking a Nashville trip because it is the Vegas of the South and perfect place to celebrate your birthday, super fun. But since we're going in September and we had to cancel Austin in September, I'm playing with the idea of just moving it to Austin. From what I hear, that's a really, really fun city too. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out when it gets a little closer.
That could be a good one. I was wondering, because you were telling us at the beginning of the year, even like you were thinking Nashville for your birthday, and believe it or not, like we were really excited for it. We were thinking to ourselves, oh fuck, we're going to go regardless. You know what I mean? But now that Nashville's made it to the itinerary, because Ecuador was canceled, I was wondering, like, are you going to keep it? But I think Austin is a good backup plan too. But depending on how much you like Nashville, you may say, like, I didn't get enough Nashville flavor in my mouth, and be going back out there.
And truly, south in the mouth.
A little bit more south in the mouth.
Nashville made it on our September itinerary because it was cheap and easy to fly into in comparison to some of the other cities. And so we were like, okay, if we're going to fly into it, we might as well stay there. And that's how it ended up on our itinerary.
Yeah, because the national parks were some of the main things, and it's close to there to get to Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. So that's the consideration of like where we're going to land. What we're going to do is to really hit those national parks beyond exploring those states. So
my requirement for the South trip and for Nashville was we had to stay 2 nights because we are going out honky tonking and we are singing karaoke on Broadway.
Absolutely. And my birthday requirement is we have to do shots of Fireball.
I will do shots of Fireball.
Tequila? Did you say tequila?
After the Fireball.
Fireball.
That's really
we'll do one of Fireball and then we'll do one of tequila.
Oh God.
You're crazy.
Okay.
Any other trips that we're planning, or any final thoughts, ladies and gent?
I mean, like, don't count Christmas out. Who knows what's going to happen with that? Who knows what's going to happen with my absolute favorite holiday, Thanksgiving? There's no better holiday than Thanksgiving, in my opinion.
I agree with you on that. Yeah, I mean, we are going on that bigger one in September. But if you really notice, a lot of it too is hitting national parks, being outdoors, seeing things locally here within California. So I just want to reiterate to people, I know some people are still concerned about going out and thinking people who are now are being crazy, which, respectfully so, but we are being safe when doing it. But definitely if you're still timid, at least do those little local ones. Get out in nature even. Stay like in a hotel room and don't really necessarily have to go out to restaurants, but just get out there, start exploring nature. And I think that's going to be the best medicine that anybody can have to get yourself out of quarantine here and start the travel bug.
If you are concerned about traveling, I think the reason why we're feeling confident about the trips for the rest of the year is because we have already taken a trip since COVID. We went to Wyoming. So we have a whole episode on our experiences and precautions and how things are different. So if you're concerned or want to know what traveling by plane is like or in other states, go back and listen to that episode, and you can get a feel for what to expect if you do fly.
That's a great tip, Kim. That's a good reminder of our past episode. So that's all we have for you guys now. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Travel Tuesday.
Please make sure to click that subscribe button down there and get all our new podcasts and travel videos that are coming out really soon.
And always, guys, do not forget to check out our actual podcast repertoire. It's available for you guys on Apple, Google, Spotify, all the major places. So do get inspired to take those trips when you're ready, coming out of quarantine here for you guys.
Yes, and if you found this information helpful, or if you thought we were just plain funny, please make sure to share it with a friend, or at the very least, make sure that you leave a comment below.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.